What are the properties of muscles? Excitability, contractibility. So very important point, very important point. Excitability. Second one, contractibility, contractility, extensibility, extensibility, and elasticity. And the last one is elasticity. These are the various types of properties of the muscles. Muscles have been classified using different criteria. So the muscles are classified based upon the location, okay, appearance, okay. Muscles are classified based upon, okay, location and appearance. What is that? Appearance and nature, location, nature, location. Location was already mentioned. So based on these three, what we can call the major criteria. This is the major criteria for classification of muscles. Okay, and regulation of their activity, which we can mention furtherly. Based on their locations, three types of muscles are there. What are they? Skeletal muscles. You know very well about skeletal muscles. We have learned it already. Visceral muscles, cardiac muscles, etc. Okay. Here, skeletal muscles are closely associated with the skeleton system. They have striped appearance. They have striped appearance under the microscope. Hence are called striated muscles. As their activities are under the voluntary control, under the control of brain, hence they are voluntary control of the nervous system. They are known as voluntary muscles too. They are primarily involved in locomotion and changes of body posture. Visceral muscles, if you see, are located in the inner walls of hollow visceral organs of the body. Okay? So the organs, hollow organs made up of visceral muscles. Even alimentary canal, reproductive tract, etc. are made up of visceral muscles. They do not exhibit any kind of striations, hence they are non-striated muscles. Their activities are under the voluntary control of the nervous system, their activities are not under the control of nervous system, hence they are called involuntary muscles. They assist, for example, in the transportation of food through the digestive system, tract, and gametes through the genital tract, etc. Now, as the name suggests, heart is made up of cardiac muscles. Many cardiac muscle cells assembles in a branching pattern. Based on their appearance, cardiac muscles are striated. They are involuntary in nature as they are not under the control of nervous system. And apart from this, let us examine skeletal muscles in detail for understanding. Each organized skeletal muscle in our body made up of number of muscle bundles or fascicles held together in common collagenous connective tissue layer called fascia. Each muscle bundle contains number of muscle fibers. Each organized skeletal muscle, if you see in our body, it is made up of number of muscle bundles, made up of number of muscle bundles. Okay, so this is made up of number of muscle bundles. Number of muscle bundles are present in it. Okay, so this number of muscle bundles or fascicles, commonly called muscle bundles, are commonly called fascicles, held together by a common collagen made connective tissue layer called fascia. What is that called? Fascia. Each muscle bundle contains number of muscle fibers. Okay. The plasma membrane called sarcolemma enclosing the sarcoplasm. So sarcolemma is the plasma membrane. What about the cytoplasm in muscle fiber or in muscles? Sarcoplasm. Okay. The cytoplasm is otherwise called in muscle fiber as a sarcoplasm. Muscle fiber is syncytium. What do you mean by syncytium? Muscle fiber is syncytium as the sarcoplasm contains many nuclei. That's why it is called syncytium. The endoplasmic reticulum, ER, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum, whatever it is otherwise called in the muscle fiber sarcoplasmic reticulum. The major importance for endoplasmic reticulum or sarcoplasmic reticulum in the muscle fiber is it helps in the production of calcium ions. Okay, it is the storage house for calcium ions. Apart from that, the characteristic features of the muscle fiber is presence of larger number of parallelly arranged filaments in the sarcoplasm called myofilaments are present. This is the major characteristic feature. Myofilaments are otherwise called myofibrils. Why? Because they are fiber-like structures. Each myofibril has alternative dark and light color lines or bands on it. A detailed study of the myofibril has established. Later on we are going to see that. Due to the distribution pattern of two important proteins called actin and myosin, which are considered as contractile proteins, which plays an important role in the contraction of the muscle fiber. About their structure we are going to see in the coming videos. Light band contains actin and it is called I band. I refers to isotropic, equally distributed. What do you mean by isotropic? Equally distributed. Whereas the dark band called A band, which means unequally distributed. Okay. Next, coming to the point, both proteins are arranged as a rod-like structure which are parallel to each other. Actin filaments are thinner. What are thinner proteins here? Actin. Whereas myosin filaments are thicker. What are thicker filaments? Thick filaments, generally myosin. Okay, now? Hence, these two are called as a thick and thin filaments, respectively. In the center of each I band, an elastic fiber is present that is called Z-line. Okay? The thin filaments are firmly attached to Z-line. What are attached? Thin filaments are attached to Z-line. Now, thick filaments in the A band are also held together in the middle of the band. Okay? A fibrous membrane is present around them that is called M-line. What is that called? M-line. That's it. And finally, the A and I bands are arranged alternately throughout the length of myofibril. Okay. The portion of the myofibril between two successive Z lines is considered as functional unit of contraction, and it is called as a sarcomere. What is that called? Sarcomere. Imagine this is the muscle fiber. Here Z lines are present. Okay. This is the gap in between the two successive Z lines, which is called as a sarcomere. This sarcomere is the functional unit of the muscle fiber. In a resting state, edges of the thin filaments on either side, thick filaments partially overlap. Okay? Thin filaments overlaps on the thick filaments. That you have to remember. Okay now? And finally, this central part of the thick filament, if it is not overlapped by thick filament, it is called as a H zone. What is that called? H zone. So that's all for today's session. Remaining part